Direi che la differenza principale che vediamo continuamente, anche quando in America vincono i democratici e non solo quando, come oggi, l'America è governata dai repubblicani, la differenza principale è di rapporto Stato-mercato. Noi crediamo molto nel tassare i cittadini, dare le risorse allo Stato che provvede lui a risolvere i problemi dei cittadini, non solo beni fondamentali come la sicurezza, ma anche beni meritevoli come la sanità e l'istruzione, e largamente in mano pubbliche. L'America crede molto di più ai mercati, la percentuale di PIL in mano alle amministrazioni pubbliche è molto minore, diciamo che il loro 30 si confronta col nostro 50, arrotondo un po' per eccesso.
Well, it's hard to sort of describe, I mean, without being long-winded, but on average, European institutions and laws and institutions and regulations are designed to protect people more than they do in the United States. What that means is that when a change occurs, it's harder to adjust. Now, that doesn't mean it's bad to protect people. It's just a cost that you pay if you want to protect people. So it's much harder to fire people in Europe. Right?
In Europe?
In Europe. It's much harder to close a plant, if it's not economic anymore, than it is in America.
Ogni tanto proviamo a dire agli americani che dovrebbero essere più simili a noi. In realtà in un mondo globale dovremmo anche accettare queste differenze. C'è il modello americano, c'è il modello europeo, c'è il modello cinese.
And so, as I say, this does not necessarily mean that America's good and Europe's bad at all. It's just a different way of doing things. And maybe Europeans think that protecting people is more important than adjusting really rapidly in a changing economic environment. Now, the other thing that needs to be said is if you have what these things amount to are inflexibilities or incentive systems that don't work, or are incomplete in some way. What would be an example? Like if you lose your job and your unemployment insurance lasts for 9 months, you'll behave differently than if it lasts for 2 months, right? Probably.
Of course.
If it lasts for 9 months, you can go on vacation, then get around to finding a new job or retraining or something like that. So there's a trade-off, is what I'm trying to say, but that would be an example of the sorts of differences there are. So the American economy is sort of harsh on people, but it adapts fairly quickly to change, and the European ones tend to they do adapt, but it's a little bit slower.
Many of the Americans are nothing else but descendants of us, the Europeans. But of course, it was not the average European that emigrated to the United States. It was the most entrepreneurial, the most decision-oriented persons who left Europe and went to the United States. So it is a positive selection of people who are now living in the United States, and we should not be astonished that this is the case. My country, for example, Germany, we expelled factually our talented and smart Jews. They left some 60 years ago for the United States. We were the guys who have helped to get the best banking talent, the best Jewish banking talent from Hamburg into New York. And therefore, we should not be astonished about the quality of U.S. financial markets. Americans have very simple decision structures. The Europeans have very complicated decision structures. With many levels interacting, with many control systems intact, and we insist on checks and balances to the extreme. Americans are happy to get a decision done. And that's not just true for companies, it's true for legislation as well. And you can observe that. As a result, it's very obvious. Even in Europe, when there is an investment opportunity, it is always an American firm or a Chinese firm that discovers an opportunity first, and only after American investors and Chinese investors have made big deals are Europeans waking up to their own fortunes. I indeed would argue that our more long-term time horizon means that we are more interested in relationship, and the Americans are much more deal-oriented. They want to do something that is effective on the spot, and if it is done effectively on the spot, they are quite happy, and they then move to the next adventure. That's not an attitude of many Europeans. Here I would not know what is a better approach. It could be that the Americans' deal orientation means, in the ultimate analysis, that they disregard human nature. At the end of the day, you as a person want to be respected. And if you are only considered as a part of a deal, at the end of the day, you might not develop trust.
Il sistema americano è anche quindi per definizione più meritocratico, vince il migliore. Noi abbiamo più solidarietà, più eguaglianza, vera o presunta. Nella nostra scuola non si boccia più, si mandano avanti tutti, perché si fa finta che siano tutti uguali. Le grandi università americane prendono una domanda su 10, da noi nessuno viene mai escluso.
In more cases, in the U.S. system, there is an impossibility to contract among your teams, to contract among yourself, what we call collusion. We can sit together and arrange something that it goes at the expense of a third party. In the Americas, the roles are much more separate, and therefore such collusion doesn't come into existence, and I believe that helps a lot to make a system more effective. So what the Europeans should do is, we should not try to continue to be everything for everybody. We should allow different roles to be taken by different people. So here is somebody who is controlling, here is somebody who is executing, here is somebody who is advising. Please don't do those three roles in one person. This would be something to improve the European system.
You are fantastic.
Questa è America.